This is the Lessons in Positivity videocast. Here's your host, Scott Peterson.
We're back with another episode that we think you'll really enjoy. When you think of players in the National Football League, you think of an average player being around 6'2", 245 pounds. Our guest today is Danny Woodhead, who at 5 feet 8 inches tall played running back for 5 years in the NFL and even scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl. He wasn't even offered a scholarship to play major college football or invited to participate in the NFL Combine after twice being named NCAA Division II Player of the Year. Danny wasn't even drafted by an NFL team. So if you think your size is stacked against you, you're going to want to listen to this episode of Lessons in Positivity with the remarkable Danny Woodhead. We're joined by Danny Woodhead, who spent 9 years in the NFL with teams like the Jets and the Patriots and the Chargers and ultimately the Baltimore Ravens. And one of the stories most people will know about Danny is that he's 5'8" and survived those 9 years in the NFL. Danny, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks for having me. I really appreciate you inviting me and getting to share a little bit of my story or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, well, I was going to say your story really begins in a small town in Nebraska, North Platte, Nebraska, and you were a football star there. You're breaking records in the state as a running back. You're playing in the highest division in Nebraska, but that's still Nebraska, and it's still playing against Omaha and Lincoln teams still, and
right.
Having success. But you weren't recruited. Every kid in Nebraska kind of dreams of playing probably for the University of Nebraska. I'm not sure if that was one of your dreams, but it kind of would seem like it would have been. But you weren't recruited by Nebraska and some of the big schools that should have taken a guy who was just tearing it up like you were in high school. So talk a little bit about that and how that made you feel.
Yeah, so like you said, I was in a smaller town in Nebraska, North Platte, Nebraska, and quite frankly, not a lot around North Platte, Nebraska, as you would know. But I grew up there and ended up having a very, productive career in high school. And the thing that I like to, go back, when people are saying like, you had a great career. Yes, I did. But I also had a lot of great people around me, whether it be coaches, offensive line, anyone else on the offense, receivers, great quarterback that I played with, some really, really good just players. And that helped me to, just be able to do my job. So I went out there and tried to use my God-given ability and fortunately it worked. And because I had a lot of other good people around me that allowed me to just be really good at what I did. It was a great time in high school. Was able to set, I think I set a few records. I don't know all of the stuff, but it was a really good time, my 3 years playing varsity football for North Platte. Ended up having really good camps when I went down to Nebraska. Thought I was going to get an offer. I really thought I was going to get an offer from them. Didn't end up happening. And the thing is, when you're in Nebraska, not as much nowadays, but back then, if you didn't get an offer from your state school, which we had one, or your Division I school, then you're probably not getting offered anywhere else. That's just what it is. Oh, you're not good enough. Nebraska's passing on, so he probably sucks, right? Or he's not very good. And so that made things interesting. Did I feel slighted? Sure. Yeah, I did. Was I bothered? Yes, I was. But I mean, I could have at that point in time. I don't want to say it was a crossroads because there's many things worse that can happen in life. Because I ended up getting a scholarship at Chadron State, Division II school. Super blessed. No, that's where I was supposed to be. But I could have I could have pouted and, just kind of hung it up and like, oh yeah, I'll just go play at Chadron as I'm going to have fun to, playing college football. Like that's going to be a great experience, yada, yada, yada. But I kind of chose a different route, and that's to, take advantage of, the opportunity that was at hand. Did I feel like I was a Division I football player? Yes, without a doubt. I mean, you're going to ask a lot of high school, kids that, and they're going to say it regardless. But I really felt like I was, and I felt like at the time I was probably – the thing that was frustrating is there were a lot of other guys in Nebraska that got, offers when I felt like I was probably at the top of those guys. that's just kind of how I felt. And I think that's, as a competitor, sometimes that's how you feel. Well, I didn't get offers from Iowa, didn't get offers from Kansas State, Wyoming. Wyoming came in late, didn't offer me. Probably wasn't going to Wyoming anyways, because I didn't really want to go play for them because they weren't very good. So I was like, I'll play for a good Division II school. But I tried to take advantage of the opportunity I had and not pout about it, work as hard as I could. For the people that know me, know my faith's number one, and my faith really got me through it. And I was just like, you know what, this is where God wants me. I'm going to go there and kind of see where it takes me. And I could have went in with just kind of a bad attitude and be like, I'm going to play. It's going to be fun. But I didn't. I wanted to be the best that I could be. I wanted to play right away. I wanted to start right away. And what do? Do you pout or do you work hard? I chose to work hard.
Yeah, and work hard you did. Your career at Chadron State, I mean, you go do what you were doing in high school again. You win what is the Harlan Hill Award, which is really the Heisman for Division II. Break a lot of records there, and matter of fact, you won it twice, and so you made the most of those college years. And you would think, okay, that translates into well, now the NFL's got to be,
right.
They had to see what was going on. But you weren't even invited to the combine, and you weren't, obviously. Then at some point, we're not even drafted, and so that's next level of okay. So I learned something by going to Chadron State and doing well, but at the same time, is this paying off? How did you feel coming out of that and not being invited to a combine?
Yeah, I think the same thing with Chadron as North Platte. I got surrounded with great people. If you want to do really cool things, I think you have to have great people around you, especially in football. Now, if I'm playing tennis, if I'm playing golf, you're still going to need great coaches, whatever. But when you're playing in a game, that's on you. Whereas in football, you got to have people around you that do great things. And I was blessed that, man, I had great coaches, great team, great offensive players to make me look good and let me just do my thing. So I always like to point that out as, man, I wouldn't have got all those records, those trophies, whatever, without them. And that's something that was huge for me. But as far as you're saying, hey, you set these records, you got the Harlan Hill, whatever accolades I got, then you go on and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to get an opportunity. It's like, okay, this is the time where I'm actually getting the opportunity I'm not going to get passed up on. And I would say that the combine was one of the, I don't want to say it shocked me, because that's kind of my life. People pass over me, but it did shock me in a little bit, because I set the records. I had been known for being relatively fast. So I was like, at least I'm going to get an opportunity and everything's going to be on even playing field. Well, we keep calling. They're like, no, you didn't get invited. I'm like, what? So what's that do for a kid at a Division II school? Well, you got to have a pro day. I can't have a pro day at Chadron State. People aren't going to come and watch me. So what I did is we ended up knowing Tom Osborne, who was the athletic director, and he invited me to come and work out. So that was a huge thing for me. Well, I get the opportunity to go there, end up running as fast as, I probably couldn't have ran a whole lot faster.
You ran a 4.3. Don't be.
So like it was a fast 40, and then I end up jumping high. I end up jumping far, and I end up being quick enough, So like thinking and strong enough too. I hit all the marks, and most of them I was like top 5 for a combine. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to get drafted. I left the pro day thinking this was big for me. Well, come draft day, does, little Danny Woodhead, does he get drafted? No. Did it surprise me? No. I felt like I should have. I mean, there are 20-some running backs drafted in the draft, and a lot of the guys, I don't want to say I was questioning, and nothing against any of the guys in the draft.
Right.
But I was like, really? And I mean, there are a few guys that I knew they were going to take. They're going to take Chris Johnson, without a doubt. Understood it. But there were a lot of guys that my numbers, even like in the first and second round, were like the same. And I still had production in football, like if you're watching film. And then there are a lot of guys drafted ahead of me that the numbers weren't close to mine. So it was a little bit frustrating, but it was like kind of another one of those things where I had to kind of lean on my faith to be like, all right, God, like you have plans for my life. I'm not going to really question it, even though I want to question it. And don't get drafted, end up getting an opportunity with the New York Jets, and things were going unbelievably there. I had a great off season, great off season. Day 2 of training camp though, so fall camp, I ended up tearing my ACL, and that kind of shifted everything. I was like, to the point I remember calling my wife saying, I'm done. I don't want to play anymore. I'm going to retire which, I mean, can you even retire when you've really never played in the NFL? But like, that was my thought, is like, I don't want to deal with this. I'm a small, running back from Division II that no one wanted anyways. So I'm just going to get fired probably. And then I'm going to go home and do whatever I'm going to do. But then I I remember sitting in the waiting room or the patient room, wherever they put, because when you're in the NFL, you luckily get the MRIs quicker.
Right.
So wherever the heck they put us. And I remember like kind of praying about it. And I felt like God was saying, no, you're going to play. And I was kind of like, well, you're kind of crazy. You don't know anything about the NFL. This is a small running back from North Platte, Nebraska, who played at a smaller town in Chadron. But I kind of hung on to that, and I said, okay, I'm going to do my job. I'm going to work as hard as I can and trust that it's going to work out. And it kind of did.
Yeah, I was going to say it kind of did. And even when you got going with the Jets a little bit, I remember a preseason game where you had about 158 yards and a couple of touchdowns. And
yeah,
you would think that would be, okay, now I just proved it in the NFL during a preseason game. And yet you still get waived. But then things kind of started picking up for you. You got, the Patriots saw something. Bill Belichick and Cruz saw something in you and said, I think that's a guy we could use. And all of a sudden things kind of take off. And so talk about that transition from having all those frustrations. Now somebody wants me, now somebody believes in me.
Well, it's one of those things where you get fired and you're like, this sucks. Like, you're basically saying I'm not good enough. I still remember to this day when I got fired, it was almost, which was kind of frustrating for me and a little bit bothersome, is I still remember when I got fired and I'm talking to a couple of the coaches, it's almost like they talked to me like I was a charity case. And they said, oh, I'm so glad that, you worked your tail off. I'm glad you're able to live out your dream. Kind of like it's done. Mm-hmm. It's like, whoa, homie, like you can say all you want, but we'll see what's going to happen. So 3 days after I get fired, the Patriots call me, end up going there. And unfortunately, Kevin Falk got hurt, tore his ACL, and that opened a door for me to come in and play. Well, I end up having a really good first game, second game, third game. And next thing you know, I'm kind of a mainstay. And they signed me to a contract extension. And it's like, this is a little bit weird. Someone halfway wants me. You know what I mean?
Someone being the team that is the dynasty that the New England Patriots.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like I get to play for the best coach who's ever coached football. And I get to play with the quarterback who's the best quarterback to ever play football.
If you were, if a coach was saying, hey, I want my quarterback to be like Tom Brady, okay, what would, outside of just the physical, what he was able to do on the field and some of the, what makes a good quarterback from the standpoint of somebody who has to communicate quite a bit with them and is in the huddle with them and is in the practices with them? But what is it that you saw, what a good quarterback, because Phillip Rivers is a pretty good, smart guy too. You know? You play with some good quarterbacks. What makes those quarterbacks different?
I would say what makes like the Tom and Phils of the world different is their care first, their care level. Like football is so important. They want to win. they're not worried about, exterior stuff. They're just worried about getting everyone on the same page. And I think some of it too is they had to prove it, that they were trustworthy and they could make different calls, different adjustments, which would be different than at high school. But I think the hard work that they put in, it's seen, it's not talked about. Their preparation was second to absolutely none. I would call them tied for first. Like, they prepared. So I would say more off the field stuff shows me about what kind of quarterback I would want to play. Or if I'm a head coach, who I would want to play. What the off the field stuff is. Because if you're a quarterback and you're kind of in the starting role-ish, you're probably able to throw the ball. I mean, that's just how it is. So I'm deciding on, if they make good decisions. Like, that's what New England is. That's why we'll see what happens. I think Cam Newton is one of the best talents. I don't know if because of Corona, if he has enough time to learn the playbook. If he does, he could be amazing. But they want someone that's going to, make the smart decision, right decision, which he could. But I'm just saying he has a lot of playbook to look at over the next, couple months. But they're going to take smart decisions in getting you in the correct play over any athletic ability. That's just what they do. Now, if they catch lightning, or if they have a Cam Newton and he can go in even on the shortened time and do that, he's going to be insane, but does he have enough time? So that's the thing, is they want to get your offense in the right play, and the talent, hopefully that comes along with it. Fortunately, they caught lightning in a bottle with Tom Brady.
Oh, absolutely. Well, they caught lightning in a bottle with Danny Woodhead too.
I don't know about that.
But so, we talked about some of the frustrations you had, in terms of people seeing the value of Danny Woodhead. There's another frustration though, that you talked a little bit about with the ACL tear, but you also broke your fibula. You had.
I did it all. I did it all.
You were like a walking MD,
right?
So WebMD.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that kind of frustration. Now, it's frustrating when you talked about the ACL when you were coming into the league and how you felt like that might stunt. Okay, am I going to get another chance? Did this
right?
But once you're into the league and now you've had some success and people believe in you, but to have some of right when things are kind of like going, those things happen. Talk about your mental approach to coming back from an injury once those kind of things happen later.
Yeah, those were tough experiences. Almost every time I got injured, I said I was going to retire. That was kind of my go-to. And I was like, I'm done. They're not going to let us small. And I think that's probably being undrafted. I've had that mindset and everything. It's like, they're going to fire me, and but once things kind of calm down and we get surgery and everything, it's like, okay, let's do this. I'm going to be better next year than I was this year. And what I wanted to kind of demonstrate too is I wanted to be the best teammate even when I'm not on the field. So like, I wanted to be positive. I mean, clearly not, it's not because that's what you guys are about, positive athlete, but I'm saying I seriously, like, my goal was to be kind of like a light in the training room, because there's a lot, I wasn't the only one hurt. There were multiple people hurt. So like, if I'm going to be in there, let's kind of make the area, the training, the people who are around, people are already like not in a good mood because they're hurt. So like, let's try to make it a place that's fun. I mean, that sounds ridiculous, but I wanted to be some sort of light during it. I was going to work as hard as I could. I was going to bust my tail, and I wanted people to know that. But then I also just wanted to be some sort of light around the training room, because the training room is not where you want to be. And people can get, depressed or like just down on themselves. And I wanted to be someone that kind of uplifted people. And that's what I focused on. And when you're doing that, you're uplifting people maybe, but you're actually probably uplifting yourself. And when you're doing that, if you have a positive attitude going into rehab, you're gonna heal and build strength so much better, like quicker. Because when you're down and you're mental, like it's hard for you to rehab, because you're not going to get the most out of your reps. You're not going to get the just when you're stressed out, mopey, you're not going to feel good. So when you are uplifted, the rehab goes quicker too. And I felt like every time I came back, besides my last one, because I ended up tearing my hamstring, I had a better year, or I was a better football player.
You're doing something now involved with something called Performance Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about that and what you're doing there?
Yeah, so what we do at Performance Mountain is, I mean, it's, since we're in this modern day, we'd be considered consultants, right? So, but what we like to do is we like to teach leadership, team dynamics, and elite level mindset. And so we work with teams, we work with businesses, because businesses are very similar to teams. Teams are very similar to businesses. I learned that when I was in the NFL, and just kind of the way, maybe you want your leaders to lead, because leaders need to be followed and they need to be good leaders. So what we do is we teach that. We'll first go in and evaluate it and be like, hey, like, you guys got these things, and then we'll give ideas for, hey, how can we help you with, some people say leadership, and that's it. So then we'll help them with leadership, and it's myself, former Navy SEAL of 20 years, Jack Riggins, and then we also have a sports psychiatrist, in Dr. Larry Woodman, who's worked with the Nebraska volleyball team during their national championships, and also with some of the football teams. And what we do is we just want to help where we can help, and that's what we focus on. Leadership, team dynamics, which is just how does a team work, or how are you going to, and leadership they coincide and they have to go together. And I was with some very good cultures. In the New England Patriots, I was with a great culture. San Diego Chargers was my favorite place to play because I was probably a little bit more respected. We built our family a little bit more there, but the culture was not the New England Patriots. And it was very noticeable. So I was able to see, and then there were the Jets and the Ravens where kind of were in between, but I was able to see this, and then some in between. So I was able to learn things. Jack saw it in being a commander, and Dr. Larry Woodman's seen it in, all these different teams. And that's where the elite level mindset comes into. I didn't know that's what after talking to Larry, I didn't know that's what I was doing, having an elite level mindset. That's just kind of how I was wired.
Mm-hmm. My last question to you is, you got a lot of kids watching this who from small towns, maybe undersized, and wondering if it's all worth it, and probably been knocked down a few times. So what advice would you give those kids as somebody who rose above all of those things and really was able to reach his dreams?
Yeah, so it was definitely worth it for me. Not because of the NFL. I would say just for life experiences. Even if I end up playing just college football or whatever it may be, those experiences have definitely molded me. And so I've been through a lot. I mean, I've been through a lot of great things. A lot of people don't know all the crappy things that have went on in my life, or like football, whatever, but that's what molds you. And I'm very thankful for that. If we go back to people saying no, always saying no, well, I wouldn't have that drive now, 35 years old, retired, in certain things that I do in my life now, if maybe I didn't have those experiences. Something that I always like to tell kids that are, small town, too small, not big enough, like not thick enough, whatever it is, like, who said you have to listen to them? Like, what if I would have listened to the head coach at Nebraska when I was a senior in high school, and he said I was too small, I'm probably not going to be here. So, like, don't listen to people. There's certain people, like, yeah, you definitely want to listen to your mom and dad on things, and there's certain people, but like, there's a lot of people that really don't care about you, and they're just going to say, you're not this, you're not that, and it's like, no, I am. And when I was at Shadron, did I try to show those Division I schools what I could do? Without a doubt. I don't know if a lot of them saw it, but I do believe probably a few have. Because once I got to the NFL, I think people probably saw it in what I did. Not that it's all about me, because it's not, but I just didn't listen to people. And I think that's when people are, there's certain times you listen to people because you want to listen to people that are, in charge. But if they're telling you can't do things, tune them out. One ear, out the other. Because there's nothing positive they're doing by telling you, oh, Danny, you can't do this. You shouldn't do this. You're not going to be able to play in the NFL. I don't know. I had plenty of people that said, I don't know why he's trying to go to the NFL. He's not going to make it. He's from North Platte, Nebraska. Maybe he gets an opportunity to get into camp. Maybe not. Well, if I would have listened to that, all that negativity, I'm not going to be where I am today. Not that I'm some special person, but I wouldn't have had those life experiences.
I was going to say, Hines Ward talks a lot about how he had to cut negative people out of his life. And that's a hard thing to do because many times they're friends, or some friends. And they're people that, you love and trust and stuff like that. But at the same time, they're weighing you down. So I think we're all happy that, Danny, that you took the road that you did. And this has all been great advice to the kids. Dan, thanks so much for spending time with us. And this is great stuff that you're talking to the kids about. And if people want to find out more about Performance Mountain, how do they go about doing that?
Yeah, go to performancemountain.com. You can read up. It talks about the things that we do. But yeah, performancemountain.com. We have Twitter, Instagram at HQ_PFM. Or you can email us at info@performancemountain.com and, kind of see what we're about. We have a lot of fun with what we do. COVID hit us not hit us, but we're not able to hang out with the athletes as much. Now we're getting closer and I think we're going to be able to, but, check us out if you have any interest in what we do.
Great. Danny, thanks so much for the time.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me.
What a great perspective in life by Danny Woodhead. If you would like to have some entertainment, Google Danny Woodhead highlights and you'll be amazed by what you see. If you'd like to watch some of our previous videocasts, they're all available in the videos section of our website at positiveathlete.org. And if you're interested in reading inspirational stories of high school positive athletes, we'd love for you to check out our new book, The Positive Athlete, 100 Inspirational Stories of High School Student Athletes. You can purchase the book on our website, which again is positiveathlete.org. Until next time, I'm Scott Peterson for Positive Athletes, Lessons in Positivity.